I'm Sabrina, 28, and I'm standing in my living room watching my sister Rebecca dump 3 suitcases and 3 crying children on my doorstep like she's dropping off laundry. Since you don't have a life anyway, watch Emma, Tyler, and Zoe for 2 weeks while I'm in the Maldivas, she announces, not even pretending this is a request. I can barely process what's happening as she shoves car seats and backpacks through my door. Where are you watching from today? Drop your location in the comments below and hit that like and subscribe button if you've ever felt completely blindsided by family. You'll definitely want to stick around for what happened next. Rebecca's already back in her BMW, engine running, like she's afraid I might actually say no. Which, let's be honest, I should have. But here I am, staring at 3 little faces covered in dried tears and what looks like breakfast from yesterday. Emma, the 8-year-old, clutches a stuffed rabbit with half its ear missing. Tyler, 6, won't stop asking when mommy's coming back. And Zoe, barely 4, just keeps saying she's hungry. "Rebecca!" I call out, but she's already backing out of my driveway, phone pressed to her ear, probably coordinating her spa treatments. The woman who spent our entire childhood calling me lazy and worthless just literally dumped her kids like they're an inconvenience. I close the front door and turn to face 3 pairs of eyes looking at me like I'm supposed to have answers. Emma speaks first, her voice small and careful. "Aunt Sabrina, are you mad at us too? Mad at them? These babies didn't ask for any of this." "No, sweetheart. I'm not mad at you. Are you guys hungry?" 3 heads nod in unison, and that's when I notice how thin they all look. Like, really thin. When was the last time Rebecca actually fed these kids a real meal? I make peanut butter sandwiches and watch them devour them like they haven't eaten in days. Tyler eats his so fast he nearly chokes. And when I cut up an apple, Zoe asks if she can save half for later. Who teaches a 4-year-old to hoard food? That night, trying to get them settled in my guest room, Emma helps Tyler brush his teeth while I help Zoe. She's so gentle with him, checking behind his ears, making sure he rinses properly. She's 8 years old and acting like a mother. Something cold settles in my stomach as I watch her. "Emma, do you always help Tyler like this?" She nods seriously. "Mommy says it's my job because I'm the oldest. I help with Zoe too, especially when Mommy has her headaches." Her headaches. Right. I tuck them all into the pull-out sofa bed, and as I'm turning off the lights, Tyler grabs my hand. "Aunt Sabrina, will you check for monsters?" I check under the bed, in the closet, behind the curtains. "All clear, buddy. Thanks." Mommy says monsters aren't real, but she never checks anyway. I kiss his forehead and step into the hallway, but something he said makes me pause. Through the crack in the door, I hear Emma whispering to her siblings. "Remember, we have to be really, really good so Aunt Sabrina doesn't get angry like Mommy does." My heart stops. Angry like Mommy does. What exactly has been happening in Rebecca's house? The next morning reveals things that make my stomach turn. I find Tyler sitting on the bathroom floor trying to clean up water he spilled while brushing his teeth. He's shaking, literally trembling as he soaks up drops with toilet paper. "Tyler, honey, it's just water. Accidents happen." He looks up at me with these huge, terrified eyes. But Mommy says spills make extra work, and I'm already too much work. The way he says it, like he's reciting a lesson he's learned by heart, breaks something inside me. I kneel down next to him. "You are not too much work. You're 6 years old. 6-year-olds make messes sometimes, and that's perfectly normal." At breakfast, I notice more things. Zoe asks permission before drinking her orange juice. Emma cuts Tyler's pancakes without being asked and slides half of hers onto Zoe's plate when she thinks I'm not looking. These kids are running a miniature household, taking care of each other in ways that make my chest tight. "Emma, you don't have to share your food. There's plenty." But Zoe's still growing. She needs more than me. She's 8. 8. And she's already learned to sacrifice for her siblings like she's their mother instead of their sister. When I suggest we go to the park, they look at each other uncertainly. "Are you sure it's okay?" Emma asks. "We don't want to be trouble." "You're not trouble. You're kids. Kids go to parks." At the playground, I watch them play and something feels off. They're too careful, too quiet. Tyler waits for permission before going down the slide. Zoe asks if she's allowed to swing. Emma stands next to me like she's on guard duty instead of playing. "Emma, go play with your brother and sister. Someone should stay with you." Mommy says adults don't like being around kids for too long. I sit down on a bench and pat the spot next to me. "Come here, sweetheart." She sits carefully, keeping her hands folded in her lap. "Your mom says that?" She nods. She says kids are loud and messy and give her headaches. That's why we have to be quiet when she's home. How often does Mommy have headaches? Emma thinks about this seriously. Most days. Especially when she drinks her special drinks. Special drinks. My sister's been getting drunk around these kids. What do you guys do when Mommy has headaches? We stay in our rooms and I make sandwiches for Tyler and Zoe. Sometimes we watch movies on my tablet if the volume is really, really low. I watch Tyler push Zoe on the swing, both of them smiling for the first time since they arrived. They're beautiful children, smart, sweet, caring, and they've been walking on eggshells their entire lives. That evening, while they're watching cartoons, I call my neighbor, Mrs. Chen, who's a retired social worker. She comes over for coffee and observes the kids for an hour without them knowing why she's really there. After they go to bed, she sits across from my kitchen table with a grim expression. Sabrina, those children show classic signs of emotional neglect and parentification. The oldest is exhibiting caretaker behavior far beyond her developmental stage. What does that mean? It means Emma's been forced to act as a parent to her siblings. The way they ask permission for basic needs, the food hoarding, the hypervigilance, these are red flags. I stare into my coffee cup, processing this. What should I do? Document everything, and consider whether you're prepared for this situation to become permanent. Permanent. The word sits heavy in the room between us. That night, I lie awake listening to soft whispers from the guest room. Emma's reading Tyler a bedtime story, her voice gentle and patient. She's doing what Rebecca should be doing, what Rebecca probably hasn't done in months. Tomorrow, I start paying closer attention to everything these kids say and do. Because Mrs. Chen is right. This isn't just about 2 weeks of babysitting. By day 3, the picture becomes crystal clear and absolutely devastating. During breakfast, Zoe spills syrup on her shirt and immediately starts crying, not because she's upset about the mess, but because she's terrified. I'm sorry, she sobs, pulling at her shirt. Please don't put me in the dark room. I freeze with my coffee cup halfway to my lips. The dark room? Emma quickly steps in, wrapping her arms around Zoe. She means the closet. When we're bad, Mommy makes us sit in her bedroom closet until we learn our lesson. The blood drains from my face. How long do you sit in there? Until we stop crying, Tyler says matter-of-factly, like this is completely normal. Sometimes it's really long. Sometimes I fall asleep in there. I kneel down to Zoe's level, keeping my voice gentle even though I'm raging inside. Sweetheart, you're not in trouble. Spills happen. We clean them up and move on, okay? She nods, but she's still trembling. I help her change shirts and notice something that makes my heart stop. Fading yellow bruises on her upper arms, perfectly shaped like adult fingerprints. Zoe, honey, where did these marks come from? She looks confused, then follows my gaze. Oh, Mommy holds on tight when she's really mad. She says if we don't listen, we'll get hurt worse. Have you ever experienced that moment when everything you thought you knew about someone just shatters? Because that's what's happening to me right now, and I can barely breathe. I take pictures of the bruises with my phone while she's distracted. Then I sit all 3 kids down in the living room. I want to ask you some questions, and I need you to tell me the truth, okay? You're not in trouble, no matter what you say. They nod solemnly, sitting close together on my couch like they're facing a firing squad. When Mommy gets mad, what happens? Emma looks at her siblings, then back at me. She yells, really loud, and sometimes she throws things. What kind of things? Plates. Her phone. One time she threw Tyler's toy truck so hard it broke the window. Tyler nods. And she says mean things. Like how we ruined her life and she wishes she never had kids. My hands clench in my lap. Every instinct I have is screaming at me to drive straight to the Maldivas and strangle my sister with my bare hands. Do you guys feel safe at home? The silence that follows is deafening. Finally, Emma speaks up. We feel safe when Mommy's sleeping or when she goes out at night. That's when we can watch movies and eat snacks. She goes out at night? Who stays with you? Just us. But I'm 8, so I can take care of Tyler and Zoe. I know how to lock the doors and call 911 if there's an emergency. 8 years old. Left alone overnight to care for a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old while their mother parties. This is so much worse than I imagined. That afternoon, while they nap, I make a phone call that changes everything. Child Protective Services, this is Maria speaking. Hi, I need to report suspected child abuse and neglect. My voice shakes as I explain the situation. Maria takes detailed notes and explains they'll need to investigate once Rebecca returns. But when I mention the bruises and the children being left alone overnight, her tone becomes urgent. Sir, these children are currently in your care? Yes, for another 11 days. Don't let them go back to that environment. We'll send a caseworker tomorrow to assess the situation. In the meantime, document everything. After I hang up, I find Tyler standing in the doorway of the kitchen. Aunt Sabrina? Are you going to send us away? I scoop him up in my arms, holding him tight. No, buddy. I'm going to keep you safe. Promise? I promise. But as I hold him, I realize I might have just started a war with my own sister. A war where these 3 innocent babies are the battlefield. And I'm about to discover that Rebecca's been hiding secrets far darker than I ever imagined. The caseworker, Janet Morrison, arrives the next morning while the kids are eating cereal. She's a kind-faced woman in her 50s who immediately puts them at ease, asking about their favorite cartoons while observing their behavior. What she sees makes her face grow darker by the minute. Tyler asks permission to use the bathroom. Emma instinctively moves to clear everyone's dishes without being asked. Zoe hoards the remaining cereal in her bowl, eating it painfully slowly to make it last. After the kids go to play in the backyard, Janet sits across from me at the kitchen table with her clipboard full of notes. Sabrina, I've been doing this for 20 years, and those children show clear signs of chronic neglect and emotional abuse. The parentification of the eldest, the hypervigilance, the food insecurity behaviors, this has been going on for a long time. She documents the bruises on Zoe's arms with a special camera. These fingerprint marks are consistent with forceful gripping. In conjunction with their statements about being left alone overnight and the isolation punishment, we have grounds for emergency custody. What does that mean? It means those children don't go back to their mother until a full investigation is completed and she proves she can provide a safe environment. My phone buzzes with a text from Rebecca. Having amazing time, kids better be behaving, headed to couples massage now. The casual tone, the complete lack of concern for her children, makes me want to scream. That afternoon, Janet interviews each child separately. I can hear Tyler's small voice through the closed door, explaining how mommy's special drinks make her sleepy during the day and angry at night. When it's Emma's turn, she emerges 20 minutes later with tear tracks on her cheeks. Janet follows, looking grim. Emma disclosed additional incidents, she tells me quietly. Physical discipline that crosses the line into abuse. Hair pulling, shaking, forcing them to stand in corners for hours. For hours? The 4-year-old fell asleep standing up one night. When she collapsed, your sister dragged her to bed by her arm. I have to grip the kitchen counter to steady myself. This is my sister. The woman I grew up with. How did she become someone who terrorizes children? That evening, while helping Tyler with a puzzle, he says something that stops my world. Aunt Sabrina, why do you smell nice? What do you mean, buddy? You always smell like flowers. Mommy smells like the medicine that makes her sleepy. Medicine. What kind of medicine, Tyler? The bottles with no labels that she keeps hidden in her closet. When she drinks it, she falls asleep on the couch and we have to be extra quiet. I text this information to Janet immediately. Within an hour, she responds, "This suggests possible substance abuse. We'll need to include this in our report." The next morning brings a development that changes everything. I'm making breakfast when my phone rings. An unknown number. "Ms. Carter? This is Principal Williams from Meadowbrook Elementary. I'm calling about Emma Carter." "Oh, yes. She's staying with me while her mother travels." "I see. Well, I'm actually calling because Emma hasn't been in school for 3 weeks. Her attendance has been sporadic all year. We've sent several letters home but never received responses. 3 weeks. Rebecca told everyone Emma was sick with a stomach bug for a few days. She's been keeping her daughter home from school for weeks. Principal Williams, I think there's something you need to know." After I explain the situation, there's a long pause. "Ms. Carter, I wish I could say this surprises me. Emma's always been different. Very mature for her age, often tired, sometimes comes to school in dirty clothes. When she does attend, she's reluctant to leave at pickup time." "What do you mean?" "She lingers, asks if she can help clean the classroom or organize supplies. Last month, she asked if she could stay for dinner in the cafeteria because her mom was having a hard day." The pieces keep falling into place, painting a picture of systematic neglect and abuse that's been hidden behind Rebecca's perfect social media facade. That night, Emma finds me in the kitchen after her siblings are asleep. "Aunt Sabrina, I heard you talking to the lady today about us not going home." I turn to face her, this brave little girl who's been carrying burdens no child should know exist. "How would you feel about that, Emma?" She's quiet for a long time, fidgeting with the hem of her pajama shirt. "Would we all stay together?" "Yes, you'd stay together. And no one would yell at us for being too loud or too messy?" "No one would yell at you." She nods slowly. "Then I think it would be okay. I think Tyler asks me every night when we can live with you forever." I didn't know how to answer him. "What did you tell him?" "I told him to make a wish every night before bed. Maybe if we all wish for the same thing, it'll come true." I pull her into a hug, and she melts against me like she's been waiting her whole life for someone to hold her safely. "Emma, what did you wish for?" "A mommy who wants us," she whispers into my shoulder. And in that moment, I know exactly what I have to do. The call comes at 6 in the morning, 3 days before Rebecca's supposed to return. My phone buzzes with her name, and when I answer, she's screaming. "Sabrina, what the hell do you think you're doing? I just got a call from some social worker saying my kids can't come home." I walk out to my back porch so the children can't hear. "Rebecca, we need to talk about what's been happening with Emma, Tyler, and Zoe." "Nothing's been happening. They're fine. You're being dramatic just like always. Emma has bruises shaped like fingerprints on her arms. Silence. The kids told me about the closet punishments, about being left alone overnight, about you throwing Tyler's toys hard enough to break windows. They're lying. Her voice is shaking now. Kids make up stories. You of all people should know that. They're not lying, Rebecca. And deep down, you know it. I'm their mother. You can't just decide to keep them. I didn't decide anything. Child Protective Services did after they documented signs of systematic abuse and neglect. The line goes quiet except for the sound of her breathing. In the background, I can hear resort music and the clink of glasses. She's at a bar. Of course she is. This is all your fault, she finally says, her voice low and venomous. You've always been jealous of me, jealous that I have kids and you don't, that I have a real life while you're pathetic and alone. The old me would have crumbled at those words, would have apologized and bent over backward to fix things, but that version of me died the moment I saw fear in Tyler's eyes. You know what, Rebecca? You're right. I am jealous. I'm jealous that you got 3 beautiful, amazing children who deserve so much better than what you've given them. You can't do this. I already did. And unless you get serious help for your drinking and anger issues, those kids aren't coming back. She hangs up on me. 5 minutes later, she calls back. Fine. I'll do whatever they want. Counseling, classes, whatever. But this is temporary, Sabrina. They're my kids. Then start acting like their mother instead of their warden. This time I hang up on her. Inside, I find Emma sitting at the kitchen table, drawing a picture. It's our house, with 4 stick figures standing in front of it, 3 small ones and 1 larger one. Above us, she's drawn a rainbow and written "safe" in purple crayon. That's beautiful, Emma. It's us, she says simply. In our new home. Our new home. The casualness with which she says it tells me everything about how these kids feel here versus how they felt with their mother. That afternoon, Janet returns with paperwork. I've spoken with your sister. She's agreed to undergo a psychological evaluation and substance abuse assessment when she returns. Until those are completed and she demonstrates sustained sobriety and anger management, the children will remain in your care. How long does that typically take? Minimum 6 months, often longer. Are you prepared for that? I look through the window at Tyler and Zoe building a fort out of couch cushions while Emma reads them a story. Yes, I'm prepared. There's something else. Your sister's neighbor contacted us after seeing the news report about the investigation. Apparently, she's been concerned for months about the children being left alone and the noise level of arguments coming from the house. What kind of noise? Screaming, crying, objects being thrown. She called the police twice for welfare checks, but your sister always managed to get the children cleaned up and coached before officers arrived. Coached. The word makes me sick. Rebecca taught them what to say to hide her abuse. That evening, while the kids are having their baths, I sit on my bedroom floor surrounded by legal documents and realize my life has fundamentally changed. 6 months minimum, probably longer. I'll need to convert my home office into another bedroom, figure out school enrollment for Emma and Tyler, find a daycare for Zoe that accepts emergency custody arrangements. My quiet, ordered life is about to become beautifully chaotic. Tyler appears in my doorway in his dinosaur pajamas. Aunt Sabrina? Are you sad? No, buddy. Why do you ask? You look like you're thinking really hard. Mommy thinks really hard when she's sad. I pat the carpet next to me and he plops down, studying the papers spread around us. These papers help me take care of you guys properly. Like adoption papers? The question catches me off guard. Would you want to be adopted, Tyler? He nods enthusiastically. Then you'd be our real mom and we could stay forever. What about your mom? Don't you miss her? He considers this seriously. I miss the idea of her. Emma explained it to me. I miss having a mom who wants to play with us and doesn't get angry all the time. But I don't miss being scared. 6 years old, and he already understands the difference between loving someone and missing the person you wish they could be. Tyler, no matter what happens, you're going to be safe. All 3 of you. He curls up against my side, fitting perfectly under my arm. I love you, Aunt Sabrina. I love you too, buddy. And as I say it, I realize it's completely true. In less than 2 weeks, these children have become my world, which means I'm about to fight harder than I've ever fought for anything in my life. Rebecca's first supervised visit is scheduled for her 2nd day back from the Maldives. Janet arranges it at the CPS office, neutral territory with cameras and social workers present. I dress the kids in their nicest clothes and try to prepare them for seeing their mother. Emma asks if they have to go. Tyler wonders if Mommy will be angry. Zoe just holds her stuffed rabbit tighter. Remember, if you feel uncomfortable or scared, you tell Miss Janet immediately, okay? They nod solemnly, and I hate that I have to give 8, 6, and 4-year-olds instructions on protecting themselves from their own mother. The visit is scheduled for 2 hours. I drop them off and wait in my car, stomach churning. After 90 minutes, my phone rings. Sabrina, it's Janet. Can you come in? The visit is ending early. Inside, I find Tyler crying quietly while Emma holds his hand. Zoe is pressed against Janet's leg, refusing to look toward the visitation room. What happened? Your sister became frustrated when the children were hesitant to engage with her. She raised her voice and demanded they stop acting like she's a stranger. When Tyler started crying, she told him to toughen up and said he was embarrassing her. My hands clench into fists. And then? Emma stepped between her mother and Tyler to protect him. Your sister grabbed Emma's arm, not hard enough to leave marks, but firmly enough to startle her. That's when we ended the visit. I look at Emma, who's trying so hard to be brave, and Tyler, whose little shoulders are shaking. Kids, ready to go home? The relief on their faces is answer enough. In the car, Emma finally speaks. Mommy looks different, like she's pretending to be someone else. What do you mean? Her voice was too loud and her smile was too big. Like when she talks to your friends at parties, but not how she talks to us. Even at 8, Emma recognizes that Rebecca was performing motherhood for the social workers instead of actually being a mother. That night, Tyler crawls into my bed around midnight. Bad dream, buddy? Not exactly. I dreamed Mommy came to take us back, but in the dream, I didn't want to go. Is that bad? I pull him close. It's not bad to want to feel safe, Tyler. But she's my mom. I'm supposed to love her and want to be with her. You can love someone and still need to protect yourself from them. He's quiet for a while, processing this. Aunt Sabrina, will you adopt us for real? Do you want me to? Yes, all of us do. We talked about it. My heart expands and breaks simultaneously. Tyler, that's not a decision I can make by myself. There are lots of grown-ups involved. But if you could decide, would you want to? I think about Emma reading bedtime stories to her siblings, Tyler's gap-toothed grin when I help him with puzzles, Zoe's shy giggles when we have dance parties in the kitchen. Yes, buddy, I would want to. The next morning brings a call from Janet with an update that changes everything. Sabrina, your sister failed both her drug test and psychological evaluation. The tests show recent alcohol and prescription drug use, and the psychologist noted significant signs of narcissistic personality disorder and poor impulse control. What does that mean for the kids? The state is moving toward termination of parental rights. Given your relationship to the children and their clear attachment to you, you'd be the first consideration for permanent custody. Permanent custody. The words echo in my head like a prayer answered. How long does that process take? 6 to 12 months, typically. Your sister has the right to contest it and demand reunification services, but given the severity of the findings and the children's stated preferences, the outcome is fairly predictable. After we hang up, I sit in my quiet kitchen and let the magnitude of this moment wash over me. 3 children, forever. Not just helping them through a crisis, but becoming their mother. The responsibility is terrifying and exhilarating. Emma finds me there an hour later, dressed for school, backpack ready. Aunt Sabrina, you look happy and scared at the same time. I am happy and scared at the same time. She considers this. Like when you're about to go on a roller coaster? Exactly like that. She nods seriously. I like roller coasters. They're scary but fun, and at the end, you want to do it again. Emma, how would you feel if you got to stay here permanently? If I became your mom for real? Her face transforms, lighting up with the first completely unguarded smile I've seen from her. Would we get to call you Mom? If you wanted to. And we'd never have to go back to the scared house? Never. She throws her arms around me, and I feel her whole body relax like she's been holding her breath for 8 years. I love you, Mom, she whispers. And just like that, everything changes. What do you think will happen next when Rebecca realizes she's about to lose her children permanently? The call comes at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday, Rebecca's number. I almost don't answer, but something tells me I need to hear what she has to say. Sabrina. Her voice is different, calm, cold. We need to talk. About what? About you stealing my children. I didn't steal anyone, Rebecca. You abandoned them, abused them, and now you're facing the consequences. You think you're so perfect, don't you? Living in your cute little house playing mommy to my kids, but you have no idea what it's like to actually be a mother. I walk out to my back porch, keeping my voice low so the kids can't hear. You're right. I don't know what it's like to be a mother, but I know what it's like to love children unconditionally. Those are my children. Then why are they terrified of you? Silence. Then, I made mistakes. I had a hard time after the divorce. Things got out of hand. Things got out of hand? Rebecca, Tyler asked me if it was normal for mommies to make their kids stand in dark closets when they spill things. Zoe hoards food like she's never sure when she'll eat again. I can change. I'm in counseling now. I'm getting help. Because the court ordered it. Not because you wanted to. Just, please. They're all I have. For the first time in this entire conversation, she sounds genuinely broken. But then I remember Tyler crying in his sleep, and my sympathy hardens. If they were all you had, you would have treated them like precious gifts instead of burdens. You don't understand the pressure I was under. Single mom, working full-time, no help from their father. Lots of single mothers manage without abusing their children. I never abused them. Rebecca, you left them alone overnight while you went drinking. You grabbed them hard enough to leave bruises. You screamed at them for acting like normal kids. They're fine. Look how well-adjusted they are. They're well-adjusted despite you, not because of you. The line goes quiet except for her breathing. When she speaks again, her voice has changed completely. You think you've won, don't you? But I know things about you, Sabrina. Things that would make a judge very interested. My blood chills. What are you talking about? Your DUI from college, your struggles with depression, the fact that you've never been married, never had kids of your own. What kind of judge gives children to a single woman with mental health issues? I was 21 when I got that DUI, and I've never hidden my depression. I take medication and see a therapist regularly. And how stable is your job? How long before you get tired of playing house and decide 3 kids are too much work? That will never happen. We'll see. Because I'm not giving up, Sabrina. Those children belong with their real mother, not their spinster aunt who's desperate to feel needed. She hangs up, leaving me shaking with rage and fear. The next morning, Janet calls with news that makes Rebecca's threats even more ominous. Your sister has hired a lawyer, Marcus Brennan. He's expensive and known for aggressive tactics in family court. What does that mean for us? It means this is going to get ugly. He's going to try to paint you as an unfit guardian while portraying your sister as a mother who just needs support and time. But the evidence? Evidence doesn't always matter as much as narrative in family court. Be prepared for them to scrutinize every aspect of your life. That evening, while helping the kids with homework, Emma looks up from her math worksheet. Mom, why did our birth mother call last night? Birth mother. The fact that she's already making that distinction breaks my heart and fills me with hope simultaneously. She wanted to talk about what's happening with you guys. Is she going to try to take us back? I kneel down next to her chair. She might try, but no matter what happens, no one is going to force you to go somewhere you don't feel safe. Promise? I promise. Tyler overhears from the living room. Mom, we don't want to go back to the scared house. I know, buddy. Even if Rebecca gets better? The question stops me cold. How do you explain to children that some damage can't be undone? That trust, once broken, might never fully heal? Even if she gets better, you still get to choose where you feel safest. That night, after the kids are asleep, I sit at my kitchen table with legal documents spread around me. Janet has provided a list of questions Rebecca's lawyer might ask. They're designed to make me look unstable, unprepared, and selfish. Why do you want to take children away from their biological mother? Have you ever been treated for depression or anxiety? Do you have any experience raising children? How do you plan to provide for 3 children on a single income? Don't you think children belong with their natural parents? I practice answers until 2 in the morning, preparing for a fight that could determine whether 3 beautiful kids get to stay in the first safe home they've ever known. Because tomorrow, everything changes again. The hearing is scheduled for Friday morning. I dress carefully in my best navy suit, the one I wear for important presentations at work. Professional but not flashy. Competent but approachable. The kids spend the night with my neighbor, Mrs. Peterson, so they don't have to see me stressed about today. Emma hugged me extra tight before I left them there. You're going to win, right, Mom? I'm going to fight as hard as I can. That's good enough for me. The courthouse is exactly as intimidating as I expected. Rebecca sits at the plaintiff's table with her expensive lawyer, wearing a conservative dress I've never seen before and minimal makeup. She looks like a soccer mom from a television commercial. Her transformation is so complete that if I didn't know better, I might believe she was actually the nurturing mother she's pretending to be. Janet sits behind me with a thick folder of documentation, photos of bruises, school attendance records, medical records showing signs of neglect, testimony from neighbors and teachers. All rise for the Honorable Judge Patterson. Judge Patterson is a woman in her 60s with kind eyes and a no-nonsense expression. She reviews the case file briefly before looking up. This is a hearing to determine emergency custody arrangements for Emma, Tyler, and Zoe Carter, currently in the care of their aunt, Sabrina Carter. Rebecca's lawyer, Marcus Brennan, stands first. He's exactly what I expected. Polished, confident, and ready to destroy me. Your Honor, we're here today because my client made some admittedly poor choices during a difficult period in her life. Recent divorce, financial stress, and lack of support led to decisions she deeply regrets. He paints a picture of Rebecca as a struggling single mother who temporarily lost her way but is committed to change. He mentions her enrollment in parenting classes, her therapy sessions, her sobriety efforts. Ms. Carter loves her children and wants nothing more than to rebuild the family relationship that was damaged during her darkest period. When it's my turn, I stand on shaking legs and try to remember everything Janet coached me to say. Your Honor, this isn't about a few poor choices during a difficult time. This is about 3 children who lived in fear every day of their lives. I talk about Tyler's terror when he spilled water, Emma's premature maturity from years of protecting her siblings, Zoe's food hoarding and nightmares. These children didn't just experience neglect. They experienced systematic emotional and physical abuse that has left lasting trauma. Judge Patterson asks probing questions about my ability to care for 3 children, my financial stability, my support system. I answer honestly about my job, my savings, my complete commitment to giving these kids the childhood they deserve. Then Brennan cross-examines me, and it gets brutal. Ms. Carter, you've never been married, correct? Correct. Never had children of your own? No. You were treated for depression in your 20s? Yes, and I continue to take medication and see a therapist regularly. You received a DUI citation during college? Yes, when I was 21. I learned from that mistake and haven't had any alcohol-related incidents since. Isn't it true that you've always resented your sister's success? Her marriage, her children, her seemingly perfect life? I take a deep breath. I resented that she had 3 beautiful children she didn't appreciate. I resented that she took for granted what I would have treasured. So you saw an opportunity to take what you've always wanted. I saw 3 children who needed someone to love them unconditionally. And you believe you're better equipped to parent these children than their biological mother? I believe they deserve to feel safe in their own home. The questioning continues for another hour. By the time it's over, I feel emotionally shredded. But then Janet presents her evidence. Photos of bruises. Audio recordings of the children describing their fear. Testimony from teachers who noticed concerning behaviors. Medical records showing signs of neglect and malnutrition. The most damning evidence comes from Rebecca's own neighbor. I called the police twice because of the screaming coming from that house, Mrs. Williams testifies. Not normal kid noise, crying, begging, adults yelling that they wished those children had never been born. I watch Rebecca's face during this testimony. She looks genuinely shocked, like she's hearing about someone else's life. Either she's an amazing actress or she honestly doesn't remember how bad things got. Judge Patterson calls a recess. During the break, I see Rebecca in the hallway arguing with her lawyer. Her carefully composed mask has slipped, and she looks desperate. When we reconvene, the judge addresses both parties. This case presents a heartbreaking situation where well-meaning adults disagree about what's best for 3 children who have experienced trauma. My heart sinks. This sounds like she's going to split the difference somehow. However, my primary obligation is to the safety and well-being of Emma, Tyler, and Zoe. She looks directly at Rebecca. Ms. Carter, while I believe you love your children, the evidence shows a pattern of behavior that put them at risk of emotional and physical harm. Then she turns to me. Ms. Carter, while you lack traditional parenting experience, these children have thrived in your care and expressed strong preferences about their living situation. I hold my breath. Therefore, I'm granting temporary custody to Sabrina Carter for a period of 6 months, during which time Rebecca Carter will complete court-ordered parenting classes, maintain sobriety, and participate in family therapy. Temporary custody. It's not permanent, but it's a start. At the end of 6 months, we'll reassess based on everyone's progress. As we file out of the courtroom, Rebecca catches my arm. This isn't over, she whispers. I'm their mother. I'll get them back. I look at her, really look at her, and see something that scares me more than her threats. She still doesn't understand what she did wrong. 6 months. That's how long I have to prove that 3 children belong with me instead of their biological mother. 6 months to help them heal while documenting every moment of their progress. 6 months to hope that Rebecca continues on her current path of self-destruction. Because despite her court-ordered classes and therapy sessions, she's already showing signs of the same patterns that got her into this situation. Janet calls me the Monday after the hearing with disturbing news. Your sister missed her second therapy appointment and showed up to parenting class 20 minutes late smelling like alcohol. I thought she was supposed to be sober. She is. Her court order requires random drug and alcohol testing. We're scheduling one for this week. Meanwhile, the kids are adjusting to their new reality with typical childhood resilience. Emma has started piano lessons and joins me in the kitchen every night to help make dinner. Tyler plays Little League and hasn't had a nightmare in 2 weeks. Zoe enrolled in preschool and came home last Friday with a drawing of our family. 4 stick figures holding hands under a rainbow. But they're also processing trauma in ways that break my heart daily. Last Tuesday, Tyler found a spider in his bedroom and immediately started crying. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for it to come in. Please don't put me in the dark. It took 20 minutes to calm him down and explain that spiders in bedrooms aren't anyone's fault. Emma still asks permission for everything. Can I have a snack? Can I watch TV? Can I use the bathroom? We're working on helping her understand that basic needs don't require permission. And Zoe still hoards food. I find crackers under her pillow, fruit snacks in her backpack, pieces of bread wrapped in napkins and hidden in her toy box. She's been in my care for 7 weeks and still isn't convinced the food will keep coming. Dr. Martinez, the child psychologist I found for them, explains these behaviors during our weekly family sessions. Children who experience neglect and abuse develop survival mechanisms, she tells me. Emma became hyper-responsible because she had to keep her siblings safe. Tyler developed anxiety around making mistakes because mistakes meant punishment. Zoe hoards food because she experienced food insecurity. How long before they feel secure? Every child is different, but consistency, patience, and unconditional love work miracles. They're already showing significant improvement. 2 weeks before our next court date, Rebecca requests supervised visitation with the children. Janet arranges it reluctantly, warning me that Rebecca has been making concerning statements. She's been telling people that you brainwashed the children against her, that they only want to stay with you because you're buying their affection with toys and treats. That's ridiculous. I know, but it shows she still doesn't understand the real issues. The visitation takes place on a Saturday morning. I drop the kids off with their usual pre-visit anxiety. Tyler clinging to my hand, Emma checking that I'll be waiting in the parking lot, Zoe asking if they really have to go. Remember, if you feel uncomfortable, tell Miss Janet right away. After 2 hours, Janet emerges with the kids and a grim expression. How did it go? I ask, though the children's faces already tell me everything I need to know. Your sister spent most of the visit lecturing them about loyalty and family obligations. She told them that their Aunt Sabrina is just temporary, and they need to remember who their real mother is. Emma speaks up from the back seat as we drive home. Mom, she kept saying you're just our aunt and we shouldn't call you Mom. How did that make you feel? Confused. Like she doesn't understand that you're our mom now because you take care of us and love us. Tyler adds his perspective. She said you probably get tired of us sometimes and think about giving us back. My hands tighten on the steering wheel. Do you believe that? No, he says firmly, because when I spilled juice yesterday, you just cleaned it up and gave me a kiss. You didn't get mad or call me clumsy or anything. The difference between my reaction to Tyler's mistakes and Rebecca's reaction tells them everything they need to know about who actually loves them. That night, as I'm tucking Zoe into bed, she asks a question that stops my heart. Mom, what if the judge makes us go back to Rebecca? I sit on the edge of her bed, choosing my words carefully. Sweetheart, I'm going to fight as hard as I can to keep you with me forever. But what if you lose? Then I'll keep fighting. And no matter what happens, you'll always know that someone loves you completely and unconditionally. She nods seriously, then wraps her arms around my neck. I love you too, Mom. 3 weeks later, Janet calls with news that changes everything. Sabrina, your sister failed another drug test. Cocaine this time, along with alcohol. She's also been arrested for public intoxication and disturbing the peace. What does this mean for the custody case? It means the state is moving forward with terminating her parental rights. Given the pattern of behavior and her continued failure to meet court requirements, they're recommending permanent custody be awarded to you. Permanent custody. The words I've been hoping to hear for months. How long will that take? The final hearing is scheduled for next month. Based on the evidence, I'd say you have a very strong case. That evening, I call the kids into the living room for a family meeting. I have some news that might make you very happy. 3 pairs of eyes look at me expectantly. There's going to be another hearing next month, and if things go the way we hope, you'll get to stay with me forever. Forever, forever. The explosion of joy is immediate. Tyler jumps up and down. Zoe claps her hands. Emma starts crying happy tears. Does this mean we can call you Mom in front of other people? Emma asks. It means I get to be your mom legally, just like I already am in our hearts. But as we celebrate, I can't shake the feeling that Rebecca isn't going to go down without one final fight, and I'm about to discover just how far a desperate mother will go to avoid losing her children. The call comes at 2 in the morning, 3 days before our final hearing. My phone rings with a number I don't recognize, and when I answer, I hear Tyler's terrified voice. Mom! Mom, come get us! Tyler, where are you? I don't know. Rebecca took us from Mrs. Peterson's house, and we're in a car, and she's driving really fast and crying. My blood turns to ice. Put me on speaker, buddy. I hear him fumbling with the phone, then Emma's voice, shaky but trying to be brave. Mom, we were sleeping at Mrs. Peterson's, and Rebecca came to the door and said there was an emergency. Mrs. Peterson tried to call you, but Rebecca said there wasn't time. Where are you now? We're in Rebecca's car. She keeps saying she's taking us somewhere safe where they can't take us away from her. Kidnapping. Rebecca is kidnapping her own children rather than lose custody of them. Emma, can you see any signs or know what direction you're going? We just passed a sign that said, "Welcome to Oregon." Mom, we're really scared. I know, sweetheart, I'm going to find you, okay? Keep the phone hidden and stay calm. I hang up and immediately call 911, then Janet. She kidnapped them, I tell Janet, pacing my kitchen in my pajamas. She took them from my neighbor's house and they're driving toward Oregon. I'm calling the FBI. This is parental kidnapping across state lines. Within an hour, my house is full of law enforcement. FBI agents set up equipment to track the kid's phone. State police issue an Amber Alert. Everyone moves with urgent efficiency while I sit at my kitchen table, trying not to fall apart completely. Agent Morrison, a woman about my age with kind eyes, sits across from me. Sabrina, I need you to think about where Rebecca might go. Family? Friends? Somewhere she feels safe? She doesn't really have close friends. Her parents died in a car accident 5 years ago. There's an aunt in Seattle, but they're not close. What about places from her childhood? Vacation spots? Anywhere she might think of as a refuge? I rack my brain, trying to remember conversations from years past. There was a cabin. Her ex-husband's family had a cabin in the mountains outside Portland. She used to talk about it being peaceful, isolated. Agent Morrison nods. We'll check property records for the ex-husband's family. My phone buzzes with a text from the kid's number. Stop looking for us. They're my children and I'm protecting them from you. She's texting from their phone, I tell Agent Morrison, showing her the message. That's actually good. It means she doesn't know they called you earlier. At 6 a.m., my phone rings again. This time, it's Rebecca. Sabrina, I have the kids with me, and they're safe. Agent Morrison signals for me to keep her talking while they trace the call. Rebecca, where are you? People are worried. We're somewhere you'll never find us. I'm not letting you steal my children. I didn't steal them. The court decided. The court was wrong. You manipulated everyone. You made them think I was a bad mother. Rebecca, you need to bring them home. This isn't helping anyone. They are home. They're with their real mother. In the background, I hear Tyler crying and Emma trying to comfort him. The sound makes my chest tight with rage and fear. Let me talk to them. Let me know they're okay. They're fine. They just need time to remember that I'm their mother, not you. Rebecca, please. The line goes dead. Agent Morrison looks up from her equipment. We got a location. Remote cabin about 2 hours outside Portland. Local law enforcement is already en route. The next 3 hours are the longest of my life. I sit by my phone, waiting for updates, imagining every possible worst-case scenario. What if Rebecca panics when police arrive? What if she does something desperate? What if the kids get hurt in whatever confrontation happens? Finally, at 11 a.m., Agent Morrison's phone rings. She answers, listens for several minutes, then turns to me with a smile. They're safe. All 3 children are unharmed and in protective custody. Rebecca surrendered without incident when she realized she was surrounded. I burst into tears of relief. When can I see them? They're being transported to Oregon Children's Hospital for evaluation, standard procedure. You can meet them there. The 4-hour drive to Portland feels endless. When I finally arrive at the hospital, I find all 3 kids in a family room with a social worker, looking tired and shaken, but physically unharmed. Mom! Tyler runs into my arms, followed immediately by Zoe. Emma hangs back slightly, and I can see she's processing something. Are you guys okay? Really okay? They nod, but I can tell this experience has affected them differently than previous trauma. This time they were old enough to understand what was happening. Rebecca kept saying she was saving us from you, Emma explains. She said you were lying to everyone and that we belonged with her. But Mom being with her felt wrong. Even when she was trying to be nice, it felt scary. Why? Because she was pretending again, like at the visits. She kept calling us her babies and saying how much she missed us, but she never actually asked how we were feeling or if we were scared. Tyler adds, and she kept driving really fast and talking to herself, like we weren't even there. The social worker pulls me aside later. The children were remarkably calm during the ordeal. Emma in particular showed extraordinary maturity, keeping her siblings calm and helping them understand what was happening. What happens now? Rebecca will be charged with kidnapping and violating court orders. Given this incident, the state will definitely move forward with terminating her parental rights. That evening, back in my own home with all 3 kids safe in their beds, I finally allow myself to fall apart. I sit on my kitchen floor and sob with relief, exhaustion, and gratitude. Emma finds me there 20 minutes later. Mom, are you okay? I wipe my eyes and pull her into my lap. I'm just so glad you're all safe. We knew you'd find us. We never stopped believing that. How did you know? Because that's what real moms do. They find their kids and bring them home. And in that moment, I realized that no matter what any court decides, these children are already mine, and I am already theirs. The only thing left is making it official. The final hearing takes place 2 weeks after the kidnapping incident. Rebecca sits at the defendant's table in an orange jumpsuit, her hands cuffed, looking nothing like the polished woman who appeared at our first hearing. The transformation is shocking and sad. Her new lawyer, a court-appointed public defender, looks overwhelmed and unprepared. Rebecca's expensive attorney dropped her after she was arrested for kidnapping. Judge Patterson reviews the case file with a grim expression. Ms. Carter, you stand accused of kidnapping your own children in direct violation of court orders. How do you plead? Not guilty, Your Honor. I was protecting my children from an unfit guardian. Even now, she doesn't understand. She still believes she's the victim in this situation. The prosecutor presents evidence methodically, phone records showing Rebecca planned the kidnapping for days. Witness testimony from Mrs. Peterson about Rebecca lying to gain access to the children. Audio recordings from Tyler's terrified phone call to me, when they play Tyler's voice saying, "Mom, come get us." In court, I watch Rebecca's face. For a moment, just a moment, I see something flicker across her expression. Recognition? Regret? But it passes quickly, replaced by familiar defiance. Your Honor, Rebecca's lawyer argues weakly, my client acted out of desperation and love for her children. She believed she was protecting them. Judge Patterson asks Rebecca if she wants to speak on her own behalf. Rebecca stands, and I can see she's been preparing this speech. Your Honor, those children belong with their natural mother. My sister has poisoned them against me, made them afraid of me through lies and manipulation. She's still telling herself the same story, still unable to acknowledge the truth. I love my children. I made mistakes, yes, but I've been in therapy. I've been taking classes. I was getting better until she interfered. The judge listens patiently, then asks, Ms. Carter, do you believe kidnapping your children was in their best interest? I was saving them from, yes or no? Do you believe kidnapping 3 children, terrifying them, and driving them across state lines was in their best interest? Rebecca opens her mouth, then closes it. For the first time in this entire process, she seems to understand that she's trapped herself. I was desperate. I couldn't lose them. And yet your actions have guaranteed that you will lose them. Judge Patterson calls a brief recess. During the break, I see Rebecca crying at the defendant's table, finally broken by the reality of what she's done. When court reconvenes, the judge addresses the room with finality. This case has been heartbreaking to oversee. 3 innocent children caught between adults who claim to love them but have very different ideas about what love looks like. She looks at Rebecca. Ms. Carter, I believe you love your children, but love without the ability to provide safety, stability, and emotional security is not enough. Then she turns to me. Ms. Carter, you've demonstrated remarkable dedication to these children's well-being. They've thrived in your care and clearly view you as their mother figure. I hold my breath. Therefore, I am terminating Rebecca Carter's parental rights and granting full legal custody to Sabrina Carter, with the option to proceed with adoption if she chooses. The words hit me like a physical force. Full custody. Adoption. My children. Forever. Behind me, I hear a sob from Rebecca, but I can't turn around. I'm crying too hard myself. After the paperwork is signed and we're walking out of the courthouse, Emma tugs on my sleeve. Mom, what happens to Rebecca now? It's the first time she's called her by her first name instead of birth mother or mommy. She'll go to jail for a while and then she'll have to figure out how to build a better life for herself. Will we ever see her again? I consider this carefully. That depends on a lot of things. Whether she gets the help she needs, whether you want to see her when you're older, but not for a very long time. Tyler takes my other hand. Are we officially your kids now? Officially and forever. Do we get new last names? I laugh through my tears. If you want them. Emma Carter Johnson. Emma tries out. Tyler Carter Johnson. Zoe Carter Johnson. Those sound perfect. That evening, we have a celebration dinner at their favorite restaurant. As we're eating pizza and planning their new bedroom decorations, Zoe asks a question that stops my heart. Mom, why didn't Rebecca want to be a good mommy to us? I put down my slice and think carefully about how to answer. These children deserve honesty, but they also deserve to maintain some compassion for the woman who gave birth to them. Sometimes grown-ups have problems in their hearts and minds that make it hard for them to love people the right way. It's not your fault, and it doesn't mean you're not lovable. But you love us the right way, Tyler states confidently. I love you exactly the way you deserve to be loved. Emma, ever the serious one, asks, what if we remember things about living with Rebecca that we haven't told you yet? Bad things? Then we'll talk about them together, and we'll make sure you feel safe telling me anything. And you won't get tired of us or decide we're too much work? Never. You are not work. You are my greatest joy. As we drive home, I think about Rebecca sitting in a jail cell tonight, probably still convinced that everyone else ruined her life. I feel sorry for her, but I feel sorrier for the years these children spent believing they weren't worthy of unconditional love. Now they know better. And I'll spend the rest of my life making sure they never forget it. Tomorrow, I start the adoption paperwork. In 6 months, these 3 incredible humans will officially be Carter Johnsons. But tonight, they're just mine. Finally, completely, forever, mine. 1 year later, I'm standing in my kitchen making school lunches for Emma and Tyler while Zoe colors at the table. It's a Tuesday morning in September, and everything feels beautifully, perfectly ordinary. Mom, can I have the dinosaur lunchbox today? Tyler asks, already dressed for 2nd grade. Of course, buddy. Emma appears in the doorway, backpack ready, hair neatly braided. Mom, I finished my book report. Want to read it? Absolutely. As I read about her analysis of Charlotte's Web, I'm struck by her insight about friendship and sacrifice. This kid who spent her early years taking care of everyone else is learning that she deserves to be taken care of too. Zoe, now 5 and thriving in kindergarten, holds up her coloring page. Look, Mom, it's our family. 4 stick figures stand in front of a house with a rainbow overhead. She's drawn herself between Tyler and me, with Emma on the end, all of us holding hands. At the bottom, she's written, "My family," in careful kindergarten letters. It's beautiful, sweetheart. The adoption was finalized 6 months ago. We had a party afterward with cake and balloons, and the kids officially became Emma, Tyler, and Zoe Carter Johnson. They each chose a new middle name. Emma picked Grace, Tyler chose Michael after his Little League coach, and Zoe selected Rainbow because it makes me happy. Rebecca is still in prison, serving an 18-month sentence for kidnapping. She writes letters occasionally, which I keep in a box for the kids to read when they're older if they choose. Her letters have evolved from angry and blame-filled to sad and sometimes reflective. Whether this represents genuine change or just another manipulation, I can't tell, but it's no longer my responsibility to figure out. The kids are healing in ways that surprise me daily. Tyler hasn't had a nightmare in 4 months. Emma is learning to be a kid instead of a caretaker. She joined Girl Scouts and giggles with friends at sleepovers. Zoe stopped hoarding food around Christmas and now trusts that meals will always be available. But the most beautiful change is in their understanding of what family means. Last month, Tyler came home from school upset because a classmate said adopted kids weren't real family. Mom, Connor said you're not my real mom because you didn't grow me in your tummy. I knelt down to his eye level. What do you think makes someone a real mom? Someone who takes care of you and loves you and makes you feel safe. That sounds right to me. Then you're definitely my real mom. Emma overheard this conversation and added her own perspective. Connor's wrong anyway. Growing someone in your tummy just makes you a birth mom. Taking care of them every day makes you their real mom. The wisdom of a 9-year-old who learned too early that biology and love are separate things. Dr. Martinez says they're making remarkable progress. Children are resilient, she told me at our last session. With consistent love and security, they can heal from almost anything. Will they ever be completely okay? Define okay. Will they remember their early trauma? Probably. Will it shape some of their responses to stress? Possibly. But will they grow up knowing they're loved and valued? Absolutely. That's enough for me. This morning, as I drive them to school, Emma asks a question that's been on her mind. Mom, do you ever miss your old life, when it was just you and you could do whatever you wanted? I think about my quiet house, my orderly schedule, my freedom to make spontaneous plans. Then I think about Tyler's gap-toothed grin when he loses a tooth, Emma's proud face when she masters a difficult piano piece, Zoe's sleepy cuddles during movie nights. No, sweetheart, this is exactly the life I was meant to have. Even with all the mess and noise and drama? Especially with all the mess and noise and drama. At school drop-off, they each hug me goodbye. Tyler whispers, "I love you, Mom," in my ear like he does every morning. Emma reminds me that she has soccer practice after school. Zoe asks if we can make cookies tonight. Ordinary moments. Beautiful, chaotic, perfect ordinary moments that I never take for granted. As I drive to work, I think about the woman I was 2 years ago. Single, career-focused, convinced I was complete on my own. I wasn't wrong about being complete, but I had no idea how much more complete I could become. My phone buzzes with a text from Emma's teacher. Emma received the Citizenship Award today for helping new students feel welcome. You should be proud. I am proud. Of all of them. Every day. That evening, we make chocolate chip cookies while music plays in the kitchen. Zoe stands on a stool helping me measure flour. Tyler sneaks chocolate chips when he thinks I'm not looking. Emma reads her homework out loud while mixing the dough. It's chaos. It's loud. It's sticky and messy and requires constant attention. It's perfect. As we wait for the first batch to bake, Zoe asks, "Mom, will you tell us the story about how we became a family?" They love this story, and I love telling it. Once upon a time, there were three brave children who needed someone to love them exactly as they were. I tell them about the scared little ones who arrived at my door with suitcases and broken hearts, about how they taught me what real love looks like, about how they made me a mother not through biology, but through choice and commitment, and the daily decision to show up for each other. And then what happened? Zoe prompts, even though she knows. Then we all lived happily ever after. Tyler corrects me, as he always does. Not ever after, Mom. We're still living it. He's right. This isn't the end of our story. It's just the beginning. The timer dings and we pull out perfect golden cookies. As we sit around the table eating them warm from the oven, I look at these three incredible humans who changed my life completely. Rebecca gave birth to them, but I got to raise them, and that makes me the luckiest person in the world. Sometimes the family you're meant to have doesn't come the way you expect. Sometimes it comes through heartbreak and trauma and legal battles and midnight phone calls from terrified children. Sometimes love looks like opening your door to chaos and choosing it every day for the rest of your life. And sometimes the greatest revenge against someone who never valued what they had is showing their children exactly how much they're worth. If this story resonated with you, make sure to like and subscribe for more stories about the families we choose and the love that heals everything. Remember, you never know when life will ask you to be someone's hero.